It's Shiva also Tamuz today. This sparks a 3-week period called Beis Hamikdash, where we're very much focusing on the Churban Beis Hamikdash, the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. The Mishnah writes in Tanis that the Churban started on Shiva Tamuz, and the height of the Churban, the worst part of the Churban, was on Tisha B'Av. And there are many halachas in this period in order to help us tune in and plug in to the emotions and the feelings of Beis Hamikdash, Churban Beis Hamikdash. The Pasuk calls these days, or more accurately, the Sforim call these times Bein Hamtzorim. In between two straits, between two walls, that we're in between. We're a Bein Hamtzorim, between Shiva Tamuz and Tisha B'Av. The term Bein Hamtzorim actually comes from a pasuk that says Kol roitfeho hisiguha Bein Hamtzorim. Literally translated, that the enemies of Klal Yisrael, those that were chasing Klal Yisrael, caught up with them when they could no longer escape. They couldn't escape Bein Hamtzorim. When they were in between the straits, they couldn't get away. The holy Koznitzer Magid is known to have said an amazing remez. Kol roitfeha hisiguha. Roitfeha, those who run after her, hisiguha, caught up with her. He says that roitfeha is roideif ko, Yud K, which is one of Hashem's names. So the Koznitzer Magid writes, he writes it 3 times in his Sefer, Avodas Yisrael. He writes that in Klal Yisrael, if we chase after the Shechina, roideif ko, if we chase after Hashem in these 3 weeks, during Bein Hamtzorim, hisiguha, there's a skula, we will actually going to, so to speak, catch up with Hashem, and we're going to be able to reunite with Hashem. What actually happened? What is this Bein Hamtzorim all about? It's true that we had a Beis Hamikdash. The Beis Hamikdash got destroyed. Is it all about the Beis Hamikdash? Or is there something much deeper than the Beis Hamikdash, something that the Beis Hamikdash itself was dependent on? And Chazal teach us that by the time it came to the Churban Beis Hamikdash, all that was left of the Beis Hamikdash were stones, and that was before it got destroyed. Eitzim va'avonim, wooden stones. What was it that got lost that was the real Churban? So the Gemara in Brachos and Daf Gimel, when speaking about the Churban, the Gemara terms it as follows: Ma'aloi la'av, woe, pity, a shame to a father, sheheglo esbonov, that had to exile his children, va'oyeloem lebonim, and woe to the children, shegolu me'al shulchan aviem, they got exiled, got sent away from their father's table. So what's really going on is the relationship between Klal Yisrael and the Rebbeinu Shleilim, a relationship of a father-child relationship. That's what somehow got tainted. That's what got ruined. Once father and son could no longer live in the same home, then the home was not necessary anymore. So the home got broken down, got burnt down. But that was just a consequence of the real Churban. The real Churban was the separating between Hashem and Klal Yisrael. What the amazing thing is, and Chazal actually say, the Gemara says in Yuma, that just before the Churban, when they looked at the Orin, they looked at the Kruvim, they saw that they were hugging each other. There was something, as Chazal say in the Gemara, when before people, or before the marshal of people, but before they depart from each other, when they are Yotzei L'derech, then there's an added opportunity of extra closeness. The Sfarim write that's what was going on. The Churban was happening. Klal Yisrael and the Rebbeinu Shleilim were being separated. But deep down what was going on, this separation was supposed to cause a tremendous longing. And it's those emotions, those feelings of longing, which is what Hashem wanted and wants from us till today. The Gemara tells us, when Klal Yisrael went into Golus, you would think that the father who exiled his children, the father stayed at home and the children were kicked out. No. The children had to go out because there was something about what they were doing that was not in sync with the values of the father, of Hashem. But Hashem said, you are my sons, you are my children, I'm going to go out with you. I'm going to be in Golus with you. which means that all around, when it comes to the Bein Hamtzorim, when it comes to the time of the Churban Beis Hamikdash and our long Golus, Klal Yisrael are in tremendous pain. We're not on our Father's table. Our Father is in pain. He's had to send us out. And not only that, the Father, in a hidden state, is with us, protecting us, and He's feeling our pain, which makes it even harder for Him. The Gemara says in Sanhedrin that when Klal Yisrael feel pain, B'shasha Odom Mitzdayer, Shechina says, Kalani Miroshi, Kalani Mizroi, the Shechina, so to speak, is also in pain. But what's the most painful thing for a father when he has to send his child out? And by the way, no father should ever send their child out. But when a father has to distance a child temporarily, the hardest thing for the father is when the child shrugs his shoulder and says, it doesn't make a difference. I'll get myself a life. I don't need you. I don't even think about you. Out of sight, out of mind, I'll go find a life elsewhere. That's what breaks the father, so to speak. The Shulchan Aruch writes, it found its way into the Shulchan Aruch, and one of the very first things it says in Shulchan Aruch, in Siman Aleph Sif Gimel, says that one has to be Meitzar V'doyeg al Churban Beis Hamikdash. We have to spend time contemplating, focusing on what's gone on here, what's happened to our relationship with Hashem, and what's a consequent, what's resulted from that relationship, or the lack thereof. So what can we do about it? So the Shulchan Aruch writes in Siman Aleph Sif Beis that one of the things we can do about it is to daven. We should daven that the Churban should come to an end, daven that the Golus should come to an end. In the Mesilas Yesharim in Perek Yud Tes, he zones in on a feeling that he felt a lot of people will be thinking to themselves, or feeling. He says, Vadai tzarech sheyitzdayer tomid, the person has to constantly feel the tsar mamash ala golus vala churban, has to feel the pain of the golus and the pain of the churban. Mitzad mash is a goyre miut kivyochel lechvoida yizbarach. We were the pride of Hashem, and when Hashem had to send us into exile, it was Hashem's pride that got hurt. The Mesilas Yesharim says, V'yisave l'geula lefi shebo hiye ilui lechvoida Hashem yizbarach. We should be yearning and really craving for the geula, just in order to again to reclaim that part in being a reflection of Hashem's kavod. V'yispalil tomid al geulas b'nei Yisrael. We should daven that Klal Yisrael should get redeemed. V'ashivoisa kvod shamayim liluyoy, and the kvod shamayim should go back to its regality, to go back to where it came from. V'im yoymar odom, if a person will say to himself, Mi ani uma ani sofun she'espalil ala golus val Yerushalayim. Who am I, little person in some little corner in some shul or at home davening for the churban, for the geula? Who am I? Hamipnei tfilasi, because of my little tefillah, Yikonsu agoliyos, Hashem is going to collect together all those that are spread out in the four corners of the earth. V'titzmach Yeshua, and that's going to bring the Yeshua. Says the Mesilas Yesharim, Tshuvosei b'tzidoi. You have to look carefully in Chazal, you'll find the answer. Ka'oiso sheshoninu, it says in Sanhedrin, Lefikach nivra Adam yechidi, a person was created on his own. Adam Rishon, when he was created as a single man. Kadei shekol echad yoymar b'shvili nivra ha'olam. Every person should say to himself, the world was created just for me. The Beis Hamikdash was just for me. And the Churban was just for me. And the rebuilding of the Beis Hamikdash is going to be just for me. Ukvar nocha ruach hu lefonov yizborach sheyu bonov mevakshim u'mispalelim el zois. V'av sheloi taseh bakashosom. Even if we daven and it doesn't seem that the Beis Hamikdash is being built yet. B'pnei sheloi higia azman u'me'ezeh tam sheyeh. Maybe it's premature, maybe we're not ready, maybe Hashem's got other reasons that He's delaying it, but we have to do ours. Hinehem osu es shelahem. You have to do yours. We have to do ours. V'Kadosh Baruch Hu sameach b'zeh. It makes Hashem happy when we show Him we care. It bothers us that we cannot be with Him in His home. So let's get practical. When are we supposed to daven? So of course, every person, every time he goes through a challenge and he feels pain, and he can tune in that Hashem is with him in this pain. He knows what he's going through. Every time that you're in pain, think about Hashem and daven silent tefillah in any language you know. The language of the heart is the best one. Speak to Hashem and tell Him, please take us out of this galus. Tosfos says at the beginning of Maseches Brachos, every time you say Yehei Shmei Rabbah, is a tefillah that Hashem's name should get famous and should be whole. In Shemona Esrei there are 2 whole brachos dedicated to the Beis Hamikdash. The bracha of Yerushalayim Ircha, the bracha of Tzemach David. The Mishnah Berurah brings in Siman Aleph, Sif Kotten Yud Aleph, at the end of every meal during the week, not on Shabbos and Yom Tov, but during the week, you should say the perek of Al Narois Bovel, Shom Yoshavnu Gam Bochinu. It's one of the ways we express to Hashem that we're missing being in His home, on His table. The Shulchan Aruch brings that a very opportune time to daven for the Shekhinah is a very mesugal time, a time where it's easy to connect to Hashem, is at Chatzos Halaylo, in the middle of the night. Mishnah Berurah brings some who say even 2 hours before that. Is dependent on different versions of the Zohar HaKodesh. But the general accepted ruling is that it should be at Chatzos. The Mishnah Berurah in 2 places brings, in Siman Aleph Sif Kotten Tes and Siman Tov Kuf Nun Aleph Sif Kotten Kuf Gimel brings that Bein Hamtzorim, these 3 weeks, starting today till Tisha B'Av, besides us using the time in the middle of the night at Chatzos to daven for the Shekhinah, to daven for the Geula, in the middle of the day. You look at on the Luach, on every Luach you'll see when Chatzos is, the middle of the day. It's not what we call Shois, Shavos, it's not 12 o'clock midday, it's the middle of the day, in the halachic hours of the day. Every Luach, every calendar you'll see wherever you are. Look when Chatzos is, it's the same time, Chatzos Halaylo, Chatzos Hayom. Now what should we daven? What should we say? So we mentioned the Al Narois Bovel. You can say that at Chatzos Hayom, you can say it at Chatzos Halaylo. The Shulchan Aruch tells us we should daven for the Shekhinah, we should daven for the Geula. It doesn't tell us what we have to say. It doesn't tell us how much we have to say. Many of us are frightened of Tikun Chatzos because we see these huge big compilations and sforim and booklets of Tikun Chatzos. We think that only great tzaddikim have the patience and the heart and the emotions to be able to connect to such a long tefillas every single night. It's a very big mistake. Even where does all this come from? Who's the one that made a big thing out of Tikun Chatzos? Is the Arizal. So I'm not saying you should all learn Arizal, but for those who look in the Arizal made it very, very short and very, very simple. If you want to say the whole Tikun Chatzos of the Arizal, it will take you 5 minutes. Maybe at the beginning till you get used to it, 7 minutes. It's very short. I've got a single piece of paper, 2 sides, where the whole Tikun Chatzos on it. It doesn't take long and it will make Hashem so happy. I once had the schus of meeting Reb Chaim Pinchas Scheinberg at a chasna. And typically, going back now about 20 years ago, nobody was talking to him and he was sitting on his own, and I thought, I'm not wasting this opportunity. I went to speak to him and I asked him the following question. I said, the Shulchan Aruch writes that somebody with Yiras Shamayim should focus and feel the pain, lidoig v'leitzar, on the Churban Beis Hamikdash. I told him, number 1, I'm far from being Yirei Shamayim. Number 2, do I really feel the pain of the Churban Beis Hamikdash? So I asked him, is there any point in me saying Tikun Chatzos? So he said to me, number 1, you are a Yiras Shamayim. Everybody has some level of Yiras Shamayim. There's no Erlich Yid, there's no good Yid who hasn't got Yiras Shamayim. Number 2, start saying it, and you'll see that the feelings will follow after that. I can just end with a bracha, that if we use these times, these 3 weeks, where Hashem is coming out to feel our pain more, and Hashem is much more accessible to us, we can go out and search for Hashem, search for Him in our own pain, in our own golus, with our own children. For those of us who have challenges with their children, they will feel this more than anyone else. Whether it's children who are away from home, who have been sent away from home unfortunately, or those children that find outside the home, in other fields they're finding more connection. It's very, very painful. Let us use that and channel that to feeling Hashem's pain. And even more than that, Hashem is with us in our pain. And how does the Pasuk tell us about the end of this Golus? It doesn't only tell us about the Beis Hamikdash. The Pasuk says at the end of Malachi, Hine anochi sholeach lochem es Eliyahu Hanovi, I'm going to send you Eliyahu Hanovi. Lifnei boy yoim Hashem agadol v'anoira. Before Hashem, when all his greatness and awe is going to be revealed. V'heishiv leiv ovois al bonim v'leiv bonim al avoisom. The hearts of fathers, of parents, and the hearts of children are going to be reconnected. It's not only the hearts of Klal Yisrael with Hashem and Hashem with us that are going to be reconnected. It's the hearts of all fathers, all parents with all their children. The families are going to be reunited. Klal Yisrael is going to be reunited. We're going to be reunited with Hashem. Let's use these 3 weeks and Emirat Hashem, B'siyata Dishma, in the schus of our caring about the pirud, the rift between Hashem and Klal Yisrael. We should be zeicha that rift should be repaired, and all the rifts in all our relationships should be repaired speedily.